what do patients want and need? Whether they suffer from a lethal or non-lethal disease is more lifeboats, please. And that's the lens that we're asking all of the participants in all of the phases of therapeutic discovery and regulatory review and reimbursement to look at it from. More about that. If you have in particular, a lethal and or a rare disease, you bought yourself a ticket on the Titanic, and you're heading straight for the Titanic, and unfortunately, under present circumstances, there probably will not be a lifeboat for you. Hence the need for discovery and research and confirmation of research by clinical trials, et cetera. All right, so that's the premise of this. These are the logos of the 27 patient organizations that are part of Best Medicines. Background, I'm guilty. I've been a human subject in a clinical trial. This was a neurology clinical trial at Sunnybrook. That's me having a brain ultrascan. The good news is they found I had a working brain. The research topic was, would a therapeutic intervention, exercise, make a difference in preventing or helping people recover from covert strokes? All right. So, and I said, of course, all this data is going to go into my personal medical chart. I said, oh no, this is research. But if we see anything of clinical significance, we'll write a letter to your doctor. Radio silence. That's the good news. So, all right. So, I will tell you a little bit about my wife's journey. We are the parents of a child with a rare disorder, PKU. How many people know what PKU is? Okay, that's pretty good. It's not a lethal disease, it's only brain threatening. And have a son, and he's been my inspiration and continues to be a learning example. I've been involved in a variety of patient organizations, and I am involved with some nonprofits and some commercial enterprises, including a medical device developer, and have been an advisor to pharmaceutical developers. All right? So there it is. These are common statistics, well known, but more than 90% of the known rare diseases today have no therapies. Hence the need for discovery in research and confirmation in clinical trials of therapeutic interventions. We have a couple of problems in Canada already. For these diseases, we're lagging behind generally access to therapies compared to the US or to Europe. And then there can be delays in the process as well. I'm going to use two specific examples, cystic fibrosis and spinal muscular atrophy. Two young women in Vancouver have launched a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit, and to try to find out whether or not Canadians have a charter constitutional right, not just to access to medical assistance in dying, but access to medical assistance in living. And their lawyer is pro bono, is a fellow with cystic fibrosis who 7 years ago was actively dying in the ICU at St. Michael's Hospital. The priest had come and delivered the last rites. And then one doctor said, you know, there's one more thing we could try, totally experimental, have no idea if it'll be any good for your particular version of CF. And that gentleman is back running his law firm and is committed to this lawsuit to take it to the Supreme Court of Canada on the right to medical aid in living. SMA, I'm going to show you I'm going to let some SMA patients speak for themselves. Right? Here's the question. What if the government recommends that some of you get the breakthrough therapy, but not all of you?
I would question humanity. I mean, there is a group of people with day-to-day challenges, and there is the solution there, and they're not allowed to access it. I would really question humanity.
I would feel like the government told me that he doesn't matter. I would feel like they were giving us a death sentence.
I would be very angry, and I would be sad because Canada is supposed to be an advanced country, and when all these other countries have approved it, and if Canada doesn't, they're backtracking themselves. And we live in a country that should be approving a drug that is working for a disease that it's the only drug available.
I'd be devastated knowing that other countries have access to it, knowing that Quebec has access to it. That's not the Canadian way.
I'd feel like there's no recourse. We've considered the option of moving to Quebec to access the drug, but if they don't approve it here, there's nothing we can do as people because there's no way of affording it.
Want to approve. I already sent 2 letters to Mr. Prime Minister Trudeau already about this regarding. I'll let them know that we are waiting for the funding.
Even live longer. So I think I'd be very, very frustrated, to say the least, if they don't approve us.
A little heartbroken, disappointed.
Just so you know, the context there is the Health Technology Agency has recommended that the drug be funded for patients up to the age of 12, providing they've never learned to walk. And the rest, most of these patients have been condemned to a death sentence by our Health Technology Agency recommendation. People are working actively to change that at other steps in the process. All right, so, okay. Inadequate care in some cases, complicated system, and overlap. I call this the alphabet soup of PMPRB and Health Canada and CADTH and CDR and PCODER and PCPA. That's the alphabet soup. And it needs to be streamlined, it needs to be simplified, redundancies need to be cut out of it. All right, so, and with all due respect to the advocates for reform and the participants in reform at the different stages, they lack the focus on building more lifeboats for untreatable conditions. All right, and patients are subsidizing our healthcare system by suffering and dying prematurely. That's it, okay. And this is, Marita and I were together for 30 years. It wasn't long enough. She died 5 years ago without a diagnosis. She had 2 untreatable neurodegenerative conditions diagnosed at autopsy, but we want the lessons of her journey. She also had metastasized breast cancer, but that was the least of her problems and wasn't going to kill her. And so I dedicate her difficult journey I want people to know about and to take the lessons from, that when there is a breakthrough and you can move something from untreatable to treatable or from treatable to curable, we want to make sure Canadians have access to it. And many patients don't have time to waste on process. All right, so the challenge to all of you is to design, build, and test more and better lifeboats.